Okay, so I'll be completely honest. This is probably take, I don't know, 40, 50,000. I've changed outfits multiple times. My hair has gone from straight to curly to up in a ponytail right now because I am struggling with this particular video for the last 36 hours. Um, Obviously, I've said my kids are my greatest supporters when it comes to this stuff. My son will remind me to make a video. And yesterday, I asked my daughter. I said, "Hey, it's been a while. What do you think I should talk about?" And after a couple suggestions, I was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna hit that topic." She said, "Mom, why don't you talk about bullying?" And I was like, oh, yeah, no, I could totally do that. That is like right up my alley. I love talking about that. Very passionate about it. And I started thinking through like how I wanted to do it and what things I wanted to hit on. And I struggled, and I struggled because there are so many different ways that you can look at this. And for those people who deal with narcissists and toxic people and bullies and abusers and all that kind of stuff, you know that there is a whole different dynamic when you deal with that kind of group. There are also people, and I have been one of those people where, I can be a flat out bitch to someone. I can say inappropriate things. You catch me on a bad day and I will chew your head off. I mean, I think that I'm standing up for myself, and in fact, I've got the whole thing wrong and I've just stuck my foot in my mouth. So there are different ways to look at it. And that's where I struggle because I don't want to be a fraud. I know that there are people out there who may watch this and go, yeah, no, you're a total bitch. Like, what makes you think that you can talk about this stuff? And that's where I struggle. So, apart from, okay, let's get rid of the bad day junk, let's get rid of the bad day drama. And yeah, you said something or did something that you shouldn't have done. Hopefully, you recognize it, you accept responsibility for it, you apologize, you do what you can to make things right. Because, I mean, I've had to do that. Someone I was in conflict with, not only, I don't know, 5 months ago, yeah, there were some legitimate points to what I was saying, but I lost some of the ground that I was trying to make because I crossed over a line and I took it to a point where it was insulting as opposed to, building that person up or challenging their thinking or what they're doing. So, I mean, put all that aside, there's that. The bullying that I talk about, the bullying, the toxicity, the narcissism, all of that kind of stuff that just gets me riled up are definitely the ones in a relationship, the stuff that happens in a marriage, but the stuff that is so impacting our kids and their relationships and how they view relationships. Because when they watch parents or, you're a single mom or a single dad and you're dating and you have someone that comes into your life and who treats you like junk, you're enabling them to later in life either allow someone to treat them like crap or they can treat someone else like crap. And so that is the stuff that I have an issue with. And so I wasn't really sure. I mean, apart from like, hey, let's talk about the bullying that's going on in your life. Let's talk about narcissists that you're dealing with. Let's talk about gaslighting. Let's talk about, I mean, all of us know that. All of us see those memes, those quotes, they like them, they love them, they share them. All of us know that it's happening. And yesterday I had a conversation with a new friend, and we're getting to know each other and kind of like, share stuff. And me, I'm Uber counselor. Every time you meet me, I'm like, hey, tell me your problems. Let's talk stuff through. I'm constantly doing that. And, as this person's sharing, they're talking about the despair that they're feeling in a relationship, the neglect that they're feeling, the abandonment, the complacency, the emotional, just insults. I mean, obviously there's like the bullying line, and then there's the abuse. You gotta, kind of know where you stand on the spectrum. And it's not abusive, but it's not flattering. It's not cutting a person down, but it's subtle in the way that it just kind of chips away at your confidence and your worth and even your position and your role in the relationship. So she's struggling with that. And so for me, I'm like, okay, let's back this up. I'm going to ask the one question I ask everybody. Would you be okay with your children having a relationship that you're having? An immediate no. You're not okay with that. And that for me was always a deciding factor when I decided to walk away from the relationship, because I wanted my kids to have 2 happy homes. And then I don't want my son or my daughter to be okay with being treated how we were being treated, or to be okay with the tension and the frustration and the constant war that was going on between me and my ex-husband. That's not a healthy home. That's not something you want to raise kids in and grandkids and have nieces and nephews and all that kind of stuff. But what was happening was it was getting buried and getting hidden. And it happens a lot. And I was able to sit down with my new friend, and, she said, the biggest thing is sometimes I don't realize that there are other people who are going through this. And I was like, oh yeah. I said, I obviously hear a lot more stories now being single. I will, kind of pick apart and be like, okay, tell me, where is this coming from? What's going on? Let's talk this through. And I'm able to kind of get a whole backstory. But for her, couples, when you guys meet together, it's social. You haven't been out. You're like, I don't want to talk about problems. Let's talk about, the football game or this clothing or, something like that, because you're so burdened and hurting so much that when you have those opportunities, it's like, I don't want to talk about that stuff right now. So I thought, why not share a story that I personally witnessed? And I mean, I have hundreds of stories. My book is actually kind of filled with a lot of them. But this was a story of a marriage that I personally observed. And over the years, it's probably been about 6 years now, I got so frustrated. And when I had the opportunity to confront, and actually in this situation, it was the wife. When I had the opportunity to confront the wife, I didn't hold back. And so, for people who are coming alongside her, I could look like the big old bitch, but I was done. I have watched, I had observed moments where she picked on her husband. She would degrade him. She would talk down to him. And, you had heard about it over the years, kind of little whispers. Hey, do you know what's going on about this? But to personally watch it was crushing, because it was in a smaller group, and their family was, big, and, they married young, and it was just overwhelming. I mean, I get overwhelmed with 2 kids sometimes. The size of this particular family I was like, hey, what do you need? But I watched him be a great father to these kids and have to suffer the bullying that was happening. There was, everything from snapping your fingers. I'm sorry, wives, you do not snap your fingers at your husband in front of me, because I will give you the dirty look. I'm like, no, they're not a dog. They are not a child. They are not a cat or an animal that you're trying to get off your car and you snap your fingers at them. No, men and women, your partner, they're a partner. You don't get to treat them like that. So that kind of stuff, she'd talk down every time he would share something. She would, offset it in a way where what he just said had no value to the conversation. And so, you watch all of these. So fast forward 4 years later, as I'm having conversations with him about, these things that he's struggling with, he starts talking about the disrespect that he is struggling with from his oldest daughter. And it's not because suddenly she decided she was going to be disrespectful. It was a learned behavior. She had watched her mother treat her father that way. So for her, she can now treat her dad that way. She can now treat her brothers that way. She can now take and pick and pull apart these men in her life because that's what she's learned. And I'm sorry, the moment that when the opportunity came for me to say something to that wife, trust me, I did not hold back. Because all that they've done, all that she did was she set her daughter up to bully her future husband. She set her future son-in-law up, whoever that person may be, to be a victim within his relationship. Yes, could things change? Of course. Will it? I certainly pray that it does. I certainly pray that when someone looks at me and says, hey, that's a shitty attitude, that I go, oh, okay, I need to change that. I shouldn't have treated him that way, or I shouldn't have done that to him. I mean, my best friend, God love him, he has been through the ringer with me, and I've had to apologize numerous times on the phone crying because I had learned such poor coping skills. And because of that, I have learned how to address the things that I do. And this poor family, even within the religious community, this man, his parents are widely respected in a church that's big here. Nobody knew what was going on. Nobody saw it. And yeah, I look like the big old bully because I chose to say something. But when you're seeing that pattern, this is what we need to stop. This is how we have future healthy marriages, relationships, children. You know, we stop struggling, or at least we can slowly start taking back the depression, the anxiety, the gaslighting, the narcissism, all those kind of things, when we realize that we are the ones that have allowed this learned behavior in our families. So, yeah, super passionate about this. This is why I struggled, because I wanted to put everything in it. And yeah, I'm sure this won't be the only time I talk about it. But, you know, for my little girl, she looked at me and she said, I don't understand how, for this particular bully and what she's watching, how that person can say that kind of stuff. Why not say this? Something kinder, something more productive. That's my 8-year-old. She's got an old soul. And I want that in my life. I want my kids to be able to stand up for themselves, to know that they deserve to be treated better. So there it is. Tonight's video was brought to you by my daughter Scarlett, who offered, because it took me so long to do this, who offered to make it herself and then I could copy it. Yeah. Hope you guys have a good weekend. Thanks.